and love, guys. It's been a while since I made a video. I don't know if you guys noticed, but what I've been doing is making a video, leaving it up for like 2 days, and then I'll make it private. That's simply because I'm currently looking for a job a little bit. I don't know if I really want to switch. I probably won't, but just in case, I've just been privating my videos after a couple days because, part of the background check is, employees might, Google your name or whatever, and, my videos would pop up, and, I just don't want to be judged because a lot of people don't, understand what I'm going through, so that's why. But I wanted to discuss something that happened to me today because it just shows me, and it's like a self-realization of, my growth, especially dealing with fear. Those of you that's been following me for a while now, I'm pretty sure that you know my struggles as far as fear and how initially this whole process was just absolutely terrifying. But just seeing from, just thinking about where I started into like where I am now, it's absolutely amazing. I couldn't even fathom a year ago putting videos up and talking so coherently, like I couldn't even express myself really to get on, let alone get online and articulate myself and try to explain something that's really really unexplainable or really hard to explain. But going back to fear, today, well, let me tell you what I usually do. Typically, I'm at work and I take an hour lunch. The first part of my lunch, I'll take that 30 minutes to eat, and, maybe just listen to some music. And then the other half, I'll go back to my car, and that's when I'll sit and commune with spirit and basically like just meditate. What I've found that is really helpful as far as the healing process is to like lay down. Sometimes depending on what part of the healing process or stage that I'm in, it's either better for me to sit up straight or lay down. But Spirit is pretty good with giving me some type of indication of which better suits. But today I lay down, and so right now the veil is very thin for me, so I can close my eyes and I basically see spirit. I see spiritual beings. I see beings with eyes, and I see them moving to and fro around me. It's not until like maybe points where I have been asleep and then I'll wake up and I'm like half awake, half asleep, where I can really get a full image of how the beings like really look, instead of like, right, without my third eye being like fully activated from melatonin darkness. I can't really see them as well. They just look like bodies of light with eyes and stuff. But when it's fully stimulated, I can see them in their entirety, and it's very interesting what I see at times. But what happened today is I laid down, and I know some of you may be new to the videos, maybe you just ran across it, but I have a very close association with like Egyptian theology, and I look at a lot of the artwork, and my interpretation of it is different from what modern archaeologists or whatever, or just people will say, oh, the Ankh is for just symbols, and the feather on Isis' head is a feather. It's not a feather. I based on my experience, it's almost like what do you call what a caterpillar like comes out of, or a wasp, what they're in. It represents that, because literally you're covered, like when they say you know, when you're going through a spiritual healing, feel like you're being peeled. That's kind of the representation. You literally, your astral body is just all mangled and just knotted, and spirit literally unknots you, you know. But anyway, what I was wanting to reference was what they call the opening of the mouth. I don't understand the mechanics of it all, but I do know spirit works a lot at the mouth. You seem to be some type of spiritual system, like a spiritual, whatever you encompass. When you of course it makes sense to say, okay, well, this part is bigger, and once it gets here, it gets a little thin, so it's easier for maybe whatever is coming out of the crown, it could possibly get stuck here. So it makes sense that that will be an area that will get clogged, so spirit has a lot of activity to do there to like knock stuff, so stuff can continue to go out the crown of your head. So I'm pretty used to spirit always being at my mouth. You know, it's been plenty times, especially in the morning, I wake up, and as soon as there's first light of some activity, spirit's like, okay, and they're in the mouth, and they knock it, and then it's like a latch or something. It's very interesting once you become conscious of the mechanisms, and stuff just comes out the head. But today, spirit, you know, I laid down in my car, and I was kind of put my seat back, and I, you know, closed my eyes, and of course I can see spirit. Spirit comes, and they come to my mouth, and this day, like the pressure was like a lot. Spirit is really, you know, and let me tell you, spirit is so patient with you when you're going through this process, because first of all, like I said, they work with me through my fear. Like I literally went from being terrified about the phenomena that I've experienced. So you can go from this, you know, because we talk the talk all the time, but we don't really walk the walk. As you know, as humans, we learn about spiritual, we learn about God, and we learn about the Holy Spirit, we learn about angels and all of this. But it's a whole nother story when you start singing, and they may not necessarily look like what you've been told. But first of all, you're seeing them in the first place. Like that's not typical of or what you know. You know, it's always what you've been told. You know what I'm saying? So. But spirit works with you through that whole process of you actually coming into actuality and all of these things. You see them, you feel them, so they work with you to walk you through the process. Because I can imagine if, you know, they just, you know, when it first happened and they just pinned my tail down and just started going ham, and you know, that would have been like too much, and I, you know, probably would have super duper just lost it, you know what I mean? But anyway, today I laid down, and spirit goes to the mouth, and they just clutch me down. Like literally, I didn't try, because I trust. That's where the whole concept of just let go, let God. Like I'm literally trust spirit. It's so interesting because stuff still happens where my mind will make me feel the sensation of fear, but I'll still internalize it and thank you for that experience, but I'm good. Spirit has been here with me this whole time since the spiritual awakening. I'm still alive. But it's just interesting because the mind will constantly, you know, make you feel the expression of fear. But anyway, so spirit is, you look the way I just kind of go on rants, coming back to the subject. So spirit was at my mouth, and they just pushed down really, you know, really with a lot of pressure. And I remember just like having my head like really clutched to the seat. And I was just like, okay, this is different today. But, you know, I was in complete confidence and trust that, you know, I was under good hands. And they really went in there, and the device that was used went further down in my chest. And it started spinning, and it just spit it around, and I could feel it just kind of like, it was almost like this was like something, and then this, whatever they had was on it, and they were turning it, so it was scraping. So it was scraping whatever type of nuisance that were on my astral body. And I feel it in the inside, and it just scraping that stuff off. So it was very interesting. So going back to Egyptian art, you have the or they're always saying something, that opening of the mouth, how the mouth is very important, but they also have this weird device that they'll show. It's just like, I don't know what people have named it, but it's like it's a longer one. It's not the but it's a longer one, and it kind of does a little dip, and it's, you know, and it has it kind of resembled, like if I was to say, okay, well, that probably could be what it was, the way it kind of goes down and then, you know, dips, where you can put it in the mouth and you can turn it. But I don't know, I just made a weird association with that. And that's another thing too, like this whole process, like I'm given just via synchronicities, like explanations for things. So when stuff like that happens, it's like, oh, it's like a realization, like, oh, okay, that's what they're using, you know what I'm saying? So that's like literally out of nowhere. But I had already seen it and looked at it. I'm like, since this whole process started, you know, I've become aware of the fact that, you know, spirit uses tools. So when you look at Egyptian art and you have all these weird devices that were in the Egyptians' hands, they were simply depicting these tools that spirit uses when you're going through this process. Because I don't really see how my astral body is, but I know it's a lot of stuff. It's not nearly as much stuff as it was on there, but like they use tools to like get stuff off, and there's some drilling going on. I hear noise like so it's literally like spirit is an engineer. They literally like picking you apart and putting you back together, and that's where it all comes from. And you hear these things and these little sayings that we have now, how, you know, it sounds like just a little saying, but when you get the context of it and you experience the context of it, let go, let God, and Lord turned Paul into Saul, you know, like literally you're changed into a completely different person. You are cleansed of all these negative attachments. You know, not necessarily these attachments are here. God created everything, but these attachments, we get into a situation where we have all, you know, wrong attachments, and they literally affect the way we think, our moods, everything. But it's all a part of our experience. Our experience is being a human, you know, and as a soul, being able to grow and learn. That's what we're all here for. We're just here to learn and grow as a soul. And I'm getting that, you know, it's a time and a place that people just are going to awake, you know, and it just happens that it happened for me at 34 years old. I had my awakening. It was that point. It was that time over, I don't know how many lifetimes I've had, but this was the time, and this was the point where I would be awakened, and I believe I have a purpose. I know I have a purpose, even if the purpose is just to sit here and talk to you all and tell you about my experience. I know I have a purpose, and just my overall state of being. I used to be so just stuck in my own mess, you know what I mean, and just always depressed, and just it was always so much friction in my life. And you know, ever since I've had this spiritual awakening, I'm aware of the fact that it's not just me. I'm more than just finite self. I'm a spiritual representation of God, and God, you know, God is in me. You know what I'm saying? It gives you a whole new way of just living your life and how you feel and how you approach things, it's you realize that you're not doing it by yourself, and that alone is just, it puts you in another place. I've had like a lot of challenges since I've been here, but before I would be dwelling and I'd just be stressed and face be all hurt up here, forehead be all hurt from just having that, and chest hurting and just stressed, and that's the stuff that weighs on your body, because what's associated with that stress and the fact that you're able to experience that stress is from these energies that attach to you, and then these are the things that start to accumulate on such a level that they start to manifest physically, and that's what you get ailments from. That's where you get cancer. That's where you get high blood pressure and just depression. All these things come as a result of the energy you attract to you. But anyway, the point of this is that I literally went from being scared to death to just being like, let go, and it's just, it's amazing, and I just wanted to share that with you guys. So enjoy your weekends, and God bless.